Okay, I need someone to explain this to me. I spent 3 hours making the most beautiful notes for my exam. Color-coded, highlighted, little diagrams. I mean, they looked like they belonged in a museum. And then I failed the test. Like, spectacularly. Questions I know I wrote notes on. Blank. Gone. How does that even happen?
What if those beautiful notes didn't help you learn? What if they actually prevented you from learning?
Wait, you're saying making notes made me not learn?
You weren't making notes. You were hoarding inputs, and your brain knows the difference.
Input hoarding? What does that even mean?
Think about what you actually did while making those notes. Walk me through it.
I read the textbook carefully. Then I wrote down the important parts in my notebook, made it organized, used different colors for different concepts.
Okay, stop. What you just described, that's moving information from one place to another, from textbook to notebook.
Well, yeah? Isn't that what notes are for?
That's what we think notes are for. But here's the question. At any point, did you have to produce that information from memory, or were you just transcribing?
I was looking at the book the whole time, writing what I saw.
Right. And your brain is incredibly efficient. It figured out, we don't need to remember this. We're just copying it. The information is right there in front of us.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Welcome to the Input Hoarding Effect. Your brain has 3 stages of memory: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Making beautiful notes only activates one of them.
Which one?
Encoding, barely. You're processing information just enough to copy it neatly. But storage, retrieval, nothing. Think about it like this. Imagine someone gives you a recipe card. You can hold that card, look at it, even copy it into a beautiful recipe journal with illustrations. But can you cook the dish without looking at the recipe? That requires completely different brain work.
Oh, the test is asking me to cook, to produce the information, but all I practiced was copying the recipe.
Exactly. You practiced input. The test requires output. And here's where it gets worse. What did you do the night before the exam?
I reviewed my notes, read through them a few times. Everything looked familiar. I thought, yeah, I know this.
That feeling of, I know this, that's called recognition, and it's completely different from recall. Recognition is, have I seen this before? Your brain just has to match a pattern. Super easy. Uses almost no energy.
And recall is,
Can I produce this from nothing? Your brain has to reconstruct the information without any cues. Totally different process. Way harder.
so when I was reviewing my notes, I felt confident because I recognized everything.
But the test required recall, and you never practiced recall, not even once.
I practiced the wrong thing for 3 hours.
Worse, you thought you were learning, so you didn't realize you needed to study differently. The beautiful notes created an illusion of mastery.
But it felt so productive. My brain was on fire. I felt like I was working so hard.
You were working hard, but on the wrong thing. You were working hard at creating an artifact. This is what I call the artifact fallacy.
The artifact fallacy?
Your brain knows the test is in the future, and that's scary and abstract. So to feel productive right now, you create physical evidence of your effort. You build a beautiful, tangible artifact, your notes.
So I'm avoiding the real work by doing fake work that looks like real work?
And here's what makes it so insidious. When you finish a perfectly color-coded page, your brain gives you a hit of dopamine for task completion.
Wait, I'm getting rewarded?
For finishing the page, not for learning the concept. Your brain is rewarding organizing, not understanding.
Oh my God. I spent 30 minutes deciding which color to use for different topics.
Right. And think about what your brain was doing during those 30 minutes. Was it thinking about the meaning of the concepts?
No, it was thinking about which color scheme looked best.
Exactly. Your brain allocated cognitive resources, your limited mental energy, to color selection and aesthetic organization, instead of understanding concepts and connecting ideas. Psychologists call this shallow processing, engaging with surface features instead of meaning. You're organizing information, not encoding it. And your brain rewards this with dopamine hits for each completed aesthetic decision.
So each time I made a formatting decision, I got a little dopamine hit for completing a microtask?
Yes, and those hits add up. Making notes becomes addictive because you're getting constant, tiny rewards. Pick a color, reward. Complete a section, reward. Draw a perfect diagram, reward. Meanwhile, practice problems? Zero dopamine during the struggle. They're hard. You get things wrong. There's no pretty artifact at the end. Your brain hates them.
That's why it feels so good to make notes instead of doing practice problems. I get the reward without the struggle.
Exactly. You're not procrastinating in the traditional sense. You're getting neurochemically rewarded for a fake version of studying. That's what makes input hoarding so addictive.
I've been training my brain to avoid real learning.
The artifact becomes the goal instead of the understanding. You're optimizing for the tangible proof of work rather than the invisible internal change that is learning. And this is why input hoarding persists. It comes with built-in dopamine rewards. You're literally training yourself to avoid the real work. And this isn't just school notes. This pattern is everywhere.
Like where?
Highlighting textbooks.
I highlight the important part.
While reading, right? With a book open in front of you?
Yes.
That's input hoarding. You're marking information that's already there. You never had to retrieve it. Zero recall practice. But it feels productive, and you have a colorful textbook as your artifact. Or creating elaborate study guides. Or making those gorgeous summary sheets. Or even, and this one's gonna hurt,
What?
taking notes during lectures by trying to capture everything the professor says word for word.
Oh no, I do that. I'm so busy writing, I don't even process what they're saying.
Right, because you're in transcription mode, not thinking mode. You're building the artifact, your complete lecture notes, instead of doing the hard work of understanding.
But I have this beautiful notebook that proves I went to every lecture.
That's the fallacy. The artifact proves you were present. It doesn't prove you learned. I have to admit something. I have dozens of notebooks full of beautiful notes from university.
Lots of people do.
I can't remember a single thing from them. Like, I recently found my statistics notebook. Stunning. Color-coded formulas, perfect examples, little diagrams. I must have spent hours on each page.
And?
I retained almost nothing. I can barely remember taking that class. But I have this beautiful artifact that proves I studied. The notes became the goal instead of the learning. I was performing good student instead of actually becoming one. I was addicted to the artifact.
So what actually works?
First, you need to see this pattern clearly. Then the solution becomes obvious.
Wait. So every time I felt productive making notes,
You were actually avoiding the hard work of learning.
beautiful notes aren't just procrastination.
They're the reward for procrastination.
We're chasing the dopamine of the
artifact instead of facing the struggle
of
of
recall.
recall.
Oh my God. I've been proud of my notes. I thought they meant I was a good student.
They mean you're good at organizing, which is a skill, but it's not the same as learning.
And all those hours.
We're spent creating inputs and artifacts instead of practicing outputs. The
test
demands what you never practiced.
This explains so much. Why I can recognize everything in review but blank on the test. Why my notes never seem to help. Why studying feels productive but doesn't work.
Here's the complete pattern. Input hoarding creates recognition fluency. Recognition fluency creates false confidence. Meanwhile, artifact creation provides dopamine rewards. The rewards reinforce the wrong behavior. Test reveals the gap.
It's a trap that feels like learning and rewards me for staying trapped.
The most dangerous kind. All right, let's make this visible right now.
I'm ready.
Think of a subject you're studying right now. Something you've made notes on recently. Got it?
Yeah.
Now, close your eyes, or pause the video, and try to write down the 3 main concepts from memory. No looking at notes, no looking at anything, just from your brain.
That was way harder than I expected. And I definitely can't do it perfectly.
How did it go for you? Easy? Or did you realize you can't actually recall what you know? That difficulty, that struggle to produce information, that's the gap between input and output, between your notes and your understanding. Exactly. Here's what I had to relearn. Notes aren't for storing information. That's what the textbook is for.
Then what are they for?
They're for thinking about information, connecting it, questioning it, arguing with it. Real notes look messy. They have questions in the margins, arrows connecting ideas. Wait, how does this relate to Chapter 3? Written confusion, wrong answers crossed out.
So notes should document my thinking process, not the textbook's content?
Yes, because thinking is what creates memory. Passive copying creates artifacts. Only active retrieval creates learning. The reframe is this. Studying isn't about moving information into your notebook. It's about moving it into your brain. And your brain only stores what it has to produce.
So if I never practice producing it,
Your brain never bothers to store it. Why would it? The information exists perfectly fine in the textbook. You've got a beautiful artifact that proves you studied.
But if I practice recalling it,
Even badly, even with errors, your brain goes, oh, we need to be able to access this without external help. Better actually store it.
the struggle is the studying.
Now you're getting it.
Okay, here's your challenge. Not 3 separate things. One experiment. 7 days, 3 steps.
And it's going to feel wrong at first.
Which means it's actually working.
Here's how this works. First, pick a topic you're currently studying, something you think you know because you have notes on it.
Then do 2 things.
Close all your notes. Blank page. Write everything you remember about that topic. Don't judge it. Don't stop to check if you're right. Just write.
It's going to feel terrible. You'll write wrong things, incomplete things.
Perfect. That struggle is revealing what you don't actually know. Now, open your notes. Compare them to what you wrote. But don't just see what you got wrong.
Ask yourself, when I made these notes, was I thinking or transcribing? Was I producing or copying? Was I building an artifact or building understanding?
Look for the signs. Were you looking at the source material the whole time? Could you have made these notes without understanding? Did you spend more time on formatting than thinking? Is there any evidence of your thinking, or just the textbook's content?
If you were just copying, you were input hoarding. If you spent time making it pretty, you were building artifacts for dopamine hits.
This isn't about judgment. It's about seeing the pattern clearly. For the rest of the week, study completely differently.
And track how it feels compared to traditional notes.
Before you read or review anything, write what you remember, even if it's nothing. Especially if it's nothing.
The blank page shows you exactly what you need to learn.
Now look at the source material, but don't copy it. Understand why your recall failed. What did you forget? What did you misunderstand? If you take notes at all, write questions, not answers.
How does X relate to Y? Why would this fail in situation Z? What would happen if?
Then close your notes and try to answer your own questions without looking.
The discomfort you feel? That's your brain actually working.
Traditional notes feel good because you're getting dopamine for artifact creation. This feels hard because you're doing the actual learning. Each evening, 2 quick questions. 1. Did I practice output today? Blank page. Recall. Questions. 2. How did this feel compared to making traditional notes?
You're not tracking if you're, quote, doing it right. You're tracking the difference between the 2 approaches.
By day 3 or 4, you'll notice something. The output-first method feels harder, but you're remembering more. Traditional notes felt easier, but you retained less.
The struggle is the point.
While you're doing this, watch for the pattern everywhere else in your life.
Where else are you creating artifacts to avoid real work?
It might be saving articles you never read. Artifact equals saved list. Bookmarking tutorials you never do. Artifact equals bookmark folder. Screenshotting information instead of processing it. Artifact equals screenshot gallery. Buying books but not reading them. Artifact equals full bookshelf. Creating elaborate to-do lists instead of doing tasks. Artifact equals organized list.
The pattern is always the same. Collecting feels like progress. Building the artifact gets the dopamine hit, but only doing the hard thing creates the result.
End of the week, come back and tell us.
What did the blank page reveal that your notes were hiding?
How did it feel to abandon beautiful notes for a messy recall practice?
Where else did you catch yourself building artifacts instead of doing the work?
And here's the thing. Some of you will try this for one day and hate it. That's fine. But ask yourself why you hate it.
Is it hard because it's not working? Or hard because it's exposing that your old method wasn't working?
The discomfort might be the first honest signal your brain has given you about your studying.
Your beautiful notes weren't useless because they were wrong.
They were useless because they let you avoid the hard work of recall.
They weren't study tools.
They were elaborate artifacts that earned you dopamine without earning you understanding. Stop hoarding inputs.
Stop building artifacts.
Start practicing outputs.
Embrace the struggle.
That's where learning lives.
What did your blank page test reveal?
Tell us, where else are you building artifacts to avoid the real work?
How does output first studying feel compared to traditional notes?